of women and empowering them to make smart, thoughtful financial decisions. With that, Katie, take it away. I'm so excited to learn.
Thank you, Karissa, and I see lots of familiar faces, so thank you to all of you for taking the time out of your day to join us. So last year, we learned a lot from the pandemic, and we learned that there are so many circumstances that are outside of our control. And some of the time, they can be the reasons that we don't meet our goals. And I know that none of us expected what happened last year, and none of us could have really prepared for a global pandemic the way it did. But the pandemic did impact every single person's finances. And some of us for the better and some of us for the worse. Some of us lost jobs, some of us got extra stimulus and were able to pay stuff off. And so today, whether it impacted you positively or negatively, I have some really good tips for building wealth, and not just building wealth, but also keeping your wealth. And the number one key to building your wealth is staying out of debt, getting out of debt and staying out of debt. And managing our debt really starts with a process of rewiring how we manage our everyday money. So I'm going to ask a question. There's no right or wrong answer, but pop in the chat whether or not you have a budget, yes or no. And I know budget can be kind of an ugly word. Think of it how you need to, Karissa, you have a budget, to make it positive, whether you call it your spending plan or your budget. Some of us has budgets that don't follow it. That can be me sometimes too. Perfect, we have some answers. So really managing our debt comes down to that word, spending plan, budget. And it's looking at your income, which is what goes into the bank account. So if you work for someone else, it's your job, the income you make from your job. If you're self-employed, it's the income you make from your clients. And then taking a look at what goes out, and that's our expenses. And those things that go out can really even be broken down another layer, and that's your needs versus your wants. And I could do a whole session on budgeting, so I'm not going to. So I'm going to try to keep this pretty general because I really want to spend my time talking about strategies to get out of debt and also investing. So when you take a look at your needs are your basic bare bones. It's the necessities. It's your food, you got to eat. Now, what type of food could be just a want? Do you need to eat at a restaurant? Do you need to buy all the extra stuff? Maybe not, but food is a need. Housing, so whether you're renting or have a mortgage. Driving a car is a need. You need a car, you need transportation. Now, do you need the luxury card or do you need all the bells and whistles? Maybe not, but a car is a need. Insurance is a need. Those are things that would go in your need category. And then your wants is your discretionary spending. Those are those things that we get, our subscription boxes, our vacation. It's the luxury car if that's something that we want. So if you have never gone through your bank statement, I would really encourage you to print out March's bank statement, March's credit card statement. And I would encourage you to go through and identify what are needs and what are wants. And that's just so that you have a basic understanding. And that's going to give you the baseline for putting in a budget. Now, there is no right or wrong way to do a budget. There are 1,000 different apps out there that can help you do a budget, that can link to your bank account. And I don't care which one you use. It's just important that you have an idea of where your money's going. I just had a call last night with a lady who we were talking about saving for retirement. And she said, Katie, I don't have a single extra dollar out of my paycheck. And I asked her if she had a budget, and she did not. So I started asking her, what is your mortgage? What is your car? What blah, 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 blah. And she was, between her income and her expenses, there was $1,000 that she had no idea where it was going. So I was like, okay, get me your bank statement because I'm going to tell you where it's going. So if you're just starting out with your budget, or if it's been a while since you looked at your budget, I would really encourage you to start looking at it more. You should be looking at it at a minimum once a month. I would encourage you to do it more, especially if you have more frequent transactions. If you're the type that's always out and about, stopping at this store, stopping at that store, you should be looking at it more than once a month so that you have an understanding of how you are spending. Once you have that basic understanding of how you're spending your money, you can shift it to quarterly. But if you're not currently doing a budget, you should be looking at your spending more frequently. And then I'm just going to take a minute to talk about goals, because you're going to want to have a good idea of what your financial goals are. And those can also be broken down into needs versus wants. So, and then also time frame. So short term, medium term, long term, and you may want to write that down. So short term goal is a goal that you're going to want to meet in the next 3 years. And when we talk about financial goals, a little longer time horizon, I'm sure, than when we start to talk about health goals, because financial goals require discipline and money to accomplish them. So a short-term financial goal, a need might be, I need to pay $10,000 on a credit card over the next 3 years. That would be a need. A want would be, I need to save $3,000 to go on a vacation. That would be a short-term financial goal. A medium-term goal, financial goal, is going to be one that you want to accomplish in the next 3 to 5 years. So medium-term need would be, I need to refinance my house. I need to. And a want would be, I'd like to start investing into a college account for my child, something like that. And then a long-term goal is going to be those goals that are 10 years out. So a need would be, I need to save for retirement. And I laugh about this because everyone says, no, retirement is so far out, I do not need to, I need to focus on all these short-term things. That's a want. I'll just work until I can retire. No, retirement is a need. You need to save for retirement. A want in the long-term bucket would be, I'd like to buy a second home or something like that. So I want you to keep all that in mind as we go into talking about getting out of debt. So getting out of debt, you have to be really honest with yourself. And sometimes that's hard. It's hard to admit that you've made financial mistakes. I'm a financial advisor, and it's hard for me to admit that I've made financial mistakes. I don't want to tell people about my debt, but we are all human beings, and we all have human behaviors that affect our finances. So the first thing that you should do when you're trying to get out of debt is to make a list of all of the debt that you have. You need to get honest with yourself. And here's what needs to be on that list. And so when we're talking about debt, the terminology can be complex and overly complicated, but it doesn't really need to be. So I'm going to tell you what you should go to every credit card or loan, or even your student loans. The only thing that I would not put on there is a mortgage. And write down, what is your minimum payment? This is the lowest amount that you can pay on a debt every month. If you paid anything less than this, you might get in trouble or slapped with some penalties or a missed payment. So what is the minimum payment? And I know some people use credit cards and they pay way more than the minimum payment, but just as this strategy, I just want you to write down the minimum payment. And then I want you to write down the balance. So that's the amount that you still have to pay on the debt. So if you took out a loan that was $20,000 and you've paid off $5,000, your balance there would be $15,000. And then you'll write down your interest rate. So when it comes to borrowing money, there is no such thing as free. Lenders, banks, mortgage companies, the only reason they're letting you borrow their money is because they make money on what you borrow. You can open a credit card and get a 0% interest rate for an introductory offer. And then if you don't pay it off, they hit you with that 24%. You can switch. I know people who do strategies who move their money balance to balance from credit card to loan. And every time you pay a transfer fee. So again, no such thing as free. So write down what your interest rate is, and it should be in terms of your annual percentage rate. So your APR is what that's called in the fine print. The next thing is writing down your principal. And that's the amount of money you initially borrowed. And then because everyone wants to feel good about the end result, you're going to write down the day that you're debt free. And that's the day when every single cent of that consumer debt is in the past, it's history, buy credit cards, see you later loans, that type of thing. And here's what we do with it. We do one of two things. We either create a debt snowball or a debt avalanche. And the debt snowball gets thrown around a lot. And a debt snowball is a debt payoff plan that focuses on paying your lowest balance first. So you pay off the loan that has the lowest balance. And a debt avalanche is the one that focuses on paying off your highest interest rate first. So as a financial advisor, my brain immediately goes to what makes the most financial sense? What makes the most sense when it comes to math? Well, duh, it makes the most sense to pay off your highest interest rate first. However, we're human beings, we're wired to want to be rewarded. So most people have success using a debt snowball, which is paying off the lowest balance, because you get to see your debt fall off faster. So I'm going to share in the chat a really good website for a calculator for this that's free. It's on the internet. That everyone should download. I promise it won't give your computer a virus. I use this all the time. And I'm going to actually share my screen for a second. And everyone should be able to see a spreadsheet. And this is a debt reduction calculator that link will help you download. And you're actually going to put in every single creditor, and you can make it personal. Like, this is my Discover card, this is my Toyota loan, this is my student loan, and you're going to put in your rate and the minimum payment. I want the minimum payment in that payment column. And then I'm just making sure. Okay. And then you are going to, down below here, you're going to put in this box. So in this case, these loans add up to $270. That's the minimum payment. But this person would like to pay $500 a month towards their debt. So they have extra money in their budget of $230. So then you can choose in this drop down which strategy you want. Do you want lowest balance first? Do you want highest interest rate first? Or you can create your own strategy. So just as an example, if you had a credit card that's 0% interest rate now, but you have to pay it off by October, or it starts charging interest, you could make that like your number one to pay off and then structure it. But if you were to pay the lowest balance first, it will tell you in this situation, you're going to be debt free January 2026. And overall the life of this loan, you would have paid $10,583. And here is what I really love about this calculator is that it creates a payment schedule for you down here at the bottom. And it actually shows you, here's how this works. The first one, auto loan number one, paid off. Now I'm taking the payment from auto loan number one plus the minimum payment from card number one, and I'm applying that. And here's my last payment. And now I'm taking all the money from this one and applying it to the student loan, which you'll see. Now it's applying it all to the student loan. And now your debt, and you can actually see when you're debt free and how this makes sense with math. So this is an awesome calculator. Now you can also, on the first page, choose the strategy that is the avalanche, which is the highest interest rate first, and you'll see you'll be paid off sooner and you'll pay less interest. But like I said, if you're one of those types of people that gets rewarded by saying your credit cards go away or student loans go away, then debt snowball is probably the one that's going to keep you consistently doing it. Now, maybe that I've showed you this spreadsheet, you would be okay doing the avalanche because you would know, okay, I'm actually saving money doing it this way. I just need to keep at it. But you won't see the payments fall off as quickly. So everyone go download that tool, save it to your desktop, use it. It is one that I use all the time. When people come to me and we have conversations about paying off debt, I will go put all their information in this spreadsheet for them. So once you get out of debt, how do you stay out of debt? And you got to work on those things at the same time. They're not one and then the other. You have to do it at the same time. So you got to get smart with your credit cards. Your credit cards are not an emergency fund. And I know people who use them as an emergency fund, and I am human, so I understand it. People will say, well, I'm paying 25% interest. I just need to put all my extra money on this credit card. But then an emergency comes up, and where do they go? They go back to the credit card. So your credit card is not an emergency fund. If you know you tend to spend impulsively, don't carry your credit card around in your wallet. Don't even carry your debit card. If you're going to go to the grocery store, take cash. And then you know you only have a certain amount of money to spend. If you have your credit card saved in your phone or on your web browser because you like to shop online on Amazon, on retail shops, take them out of your browser, because you're going to have to think twice about entering your credit card into the computer before you make a purchase. I also had a client who froze her credit cards. She put them in a glass of water in her freezer and froze them. And she said, the amount of time it would take to unfreeze is the amount of time I would have to spend thinking about whether or not I really needed to make that purchase. So if you're one of those people who makes impulsive decisions, that's an idea. Freeze it because it's got to unfreeze. But if you're one of those people that then has it all saved in your phone, you're not doing yourself a favor by freezing your credit card. And then it goes back to really managing your spending. If you are one of those people who, when you go to Costco, you're just there to get your groceries and you see the big TV and it's $400 and you're like, I've been thinking about getting a new TV. Like, don't make the impulsive purchase. Go home, sleep on it, think about it, and then remind yourself of those goals. Is your goal really to take that vacation? Okay, well, maybe that $400 could go towards that vacation. Your spending, especially if you're going to do impulsive spending, should match your goals. And that really requires some planning ahead, planning out what are those goals. And then there are things that all of us right now could be doing just to reduce our basic expenses and freeing up some cash. It's really simple things. It's renegotiating your cell phone or cable package. It's start packing your lunch. It's I know so many people that get on a car insurance or renter's insurance or house insurance plan and they never reshop it. Well, insurance companies are competitive. You should be reshopping that and trying to always get the best rate. And those things would just free up cash that you could use to put towards your debt or your other goals. And then the last thing I will say about debt is you need to compare your financial reality to your income. You don't want to be the person who is making $50,000 a year, but acting like you make $100,000. Nobody wants to be that person. And the reality is people know when you're spending money you don't have. So don't do it, be honest. And I think the more that we are willing to be honest and tell each other about our real financial situations, the more support we're going to get. The more we talk about money, the more support we're going to have. If I tell my friend I'm really saving and I need to stop going out to eat, she's probably less likely to ask me to keep going out to eat, knowing that I have financial goals. All right. So any questions on the debt or the debt calculator? Nope. And Emma just said she's a realtor and she said she knows people who haven't evaluated their home insurance in 26 years, have no idea how much they could have saved. So I would say do it yearly. And you're an insurance person, a good insurance person should be reaching out to you frequently. And that's just another thing. If you don't have a relationship like that with your insurance agent, find one who wants that relationship with you. All right, save until it hurts. And I say that because that requires sacrifice. And sacrifice is not easy. And so the first thing we're going to talk about with the savings is an emergency fund. How much should I have? What is it? I don't give a hard and fast dollar line here. There's all different kinds of rules. It should be 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. I always say, what is the worst thing that could happen to you tomorrow? And somebody might say, well, I could get in a car accident. Okay, what is your insurance deductible? $500, $1,000? Okay, that's something that needs to be in your savings. Tree could fall on your house. What is your insurance deductible? That needs to be in your savings. Your health insurance deductible. I always say that. And then if you're on a 2-income family, you probably don't need as much in a savings as you do if you're on a 1-income family. If you're the only one working and providing in your family and responsible for your bills, you need to have a couple months worth of your bills in there. But again, those are your needs, not your wants. So again, I don't like to say 3 or 6 months of salary, because you could, what you make in 6 months could really provide for your basic needs for, a year if you were spending it properly and had to. So determine what that number in your savings account, I just gave you some ideas there of adding up, think about the worst case scenario and what that financial consequences would be of that. And then also think about your short-term versus long-term savings goals. Your savings should be treated like an annual bill. It should be a non-negotiable. It should be automated. Every day of the month on the 5th, $100 goes to my savings account. And if you are one of those people that is really good with compartmentalizing, like I have a client in his account, we title it Joe's Car Fund. That money he puts in there is for his next car. And if you're one of those people that needs to segment your savings, like this is my vacation fund, this is my car fund, this is my emergency fund, do it. Bank accounts can be free. Open them. Put your money in there every month. I can't stress the importance of putting your savings on autopilot because consistency is the most important thing. And if you are one of those people that puts the money in the savings and then pulls it back out for one of your wants, move your savings to another bank and do not give yourself a debit card to it. Because then you have to go to the bank and get the money out on a Monday through Friday between 8 and 5. I know online banking has made things a lot easier, but and if you don't have access to it like that, you're a lot less likely to touch it. So another link I'm going to give you in the chat here is a savings goal calculator. And this is a really good calculator because if you had a goal to save money, if you needed, I put it in the chat and I want you all to take it and save it. But I'm also going to share my screen again. And so this is everything I'm sharing with you guys, this investor.gov is actually a regulatory body that governs what I do. And these calculators are on their website. So you could come in here and you could say, I want to take a vacation next year. That's $2,000. I have $50 right now to put towards this. I have 1 year to save. Oop, I'm scrolling too fast. The bank's going to give me nothing. What do I need to do? I need to put $162.46 every month for the next year to have the money for my vacation. Now we could make this a lot more complicated. We could say you want $10,000 or $15,000 for a down payment on a home, and you're going to start with your stimulus that you just got, and we want to do it in the next 5 years. What does that look like? Okay, you'd need to contribute $226 every single month to do that. And it'll even show you a table, and you can print this out. So it'll say, okay, here's how this looks at the end of year 1. Here's how this looks at the end of year 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, some of you are probably thinking like, Katie, I am living paycheck to paycheck. I look at my bank and I have no money at the end of the month. How are you expecting me to save any money like this? I don't care if you start saving $15, $20, $30, $40, $50. Start saving something, pay yourself something, and eventually you're going to see that you're able to save a little more and a little more and a little more. And I also have people who maybe are paid, who have side hustles or even their regular jobs, who get commission checks. Just commit. Every time I get a commission check, 10% of it's going in a savings account, 10%. Commit to a number. And like I said, I say it hurts because putting money away for the future can be difficult because you don't see the immediate rewards or results of your effort. It takes a while to get there. But consistency is important. And then you can even take it a step further, which this is my last point, and that's putting your money to work for you. That's investing it. Compound interest. Compound interest is the interest you earn on your principal and your interest. And it is so important. And if your goals are not short-term goals, if they're medium-term goals or long-term goals, you should think about putting that money into an investment instead of a savings account, so you can make your money work a little bit harder for you. There are conservative investments that are designed that will give you a higher interest rate than your savings account for somebody that has a goal of 5 or 6 years. Maybe it's a investment that only generates 3 or 4%, but it's more than your savings account. And if your goal's retirement, if your goal's, I have a 15-year goal to do this, or I just want to start investing because I've heard about it and I know it's something I should do, start putting away a little bit of money each month or each year to do that. If you let your money sit in cash, your money is not going to earn any more money for you, and you're actually not even going to keep up with inflation. And when I talk about inflation, I'm talking about the cost of the things that we buy. Every year, our clothes price goes up, our milk goes up, our groceries go up, our rent goes up, and your savings account is not keeping up with inflation. And so you just asked me for an accelerated savings account. So I know that there is Alliant Credit Union, and it is a national credit union that's online. And they do a thing where if you put in $100 every month, they not only offer you a 0.5% interest rate, which is more than anyone's offering, 0.5%, but they'll give you, if you do $100 a month for a year, they'll give you an extra $100 at the end of the year, which is way cool interest for anyone out there. I know like some local banks here in town are offering like 0.10, 0.15, nothing. I think even the best rate you can get on a money market, and you have to have like $100,000, is like 0.5. So Alliant Credit Union, which you can find online, $100 a month, they're going to give you a free $100 at the end of it and 0.5% interest. And I bet you Quanezia, she works at Cobalt, can tell you that's pretty competitive. I bet they can't offer that. So on that same website is an investment calculator. And I'm not going to get into investment specifics because that is a whole nother conversation that should be personalized to each one of you based on your financial goals. And I think that when we have your financial, sorry, I'm trying to put this compound interest calculator in the chat. Everyone wants to click on that one. It's the same website. And I'll just go through one with you, and then let's say you put in $1,000 and you're going to make a $50 monthly contribution. We're going to let it sit for 15 years, and you want to be a growth investor. So we're going to get you a 10% return. You're putting in monthly. Like, what does that look like? Well, in 15 years, that's $25,000. And then you can even look at your table, and you'll see in the table how this works. You know, it takes about year 8 or 9, 10 for you to double your money, but you do eventually get that. And this is because you're earning interest on your interest and your contributions. So save those links, save them to your browser. Easy way without having a financial advisor to calculate what you would need to be setting aside or investing, or what kind of investment return you would need to meet your goals. I'll just say, the sooner you put your money to work by investing it, the more you're going to have down the road. Time is your best friend in the investment game. And so start doing something. The more time, the better. And no matter what age you are, don't compare yourself to other people. You're on your own timeline, but start as soon as you can. And if you aren't sure what your financial goals are, that's where a financial planner can really help you, because once you help narrow down your goals, they can help you make a specific plan that has investments that can help you meet each one of your goals. And sometimes your financial goals might not even involve investing. It might be paying down debt and just having that person who can hold you accountable. So any questions on anything I covered? Okay, now that I've stressed everyone out talking about money,
It's all good. Katie, there was one quick question I saw
Oh,
in the chat. Is it better? And this I think I've seen in so many conversations, but I'm not the financial expert like you are. Where was it? Is it
oh,
better to
make small payments on multiple cards or paying off one at a time? I would say that you should make the minimum payments on your cards and then pick your strategy, whether you're going to pay lowest balance first or highest interest rate first, and stick to your strategy. Don't go back and forth. Don't try to pay one. You're going to confuse yourself. You're going to mess up your plan. You're going to fall off track. Figure out your minimum payments, make minimum payments, figure out how much extra you have a month, and apply it to the strategy that you chose after hearing about both strategies today. Like I said, there's no right or wrong way. The money person in me always, higher interest rate, but I know that doesn't work for a lot of people. So you know yourself better than I know you. All right, I get to introduce Karissa. Karissa and I have become friends over the last year, and I'm super excited that we got to finally host a webinar together, a class together. She is a former marketing and HR professional turned not one times, but 2 times entrepreneur. She's a certified health and life coach, personal trainer, and champion for women's health. She is a radio show host of Boss Up Babe podcast, so go find that on Apple Podcast. And she's Amazon's #1 best-selling co-author of Women Who Boss Up. She has been featured on networks such as ABC, CBC, NBC, Market Watch, and more. And I'm also excited because we have a book together that we are going to be featured in coming out called Women Expert Profiles. And so I don't think that makes me an author, but it makes me featured.
It does. Own it. Okay. Own it. Absolutely. Well, again, I want to welcome you to tonight's talk. If you have any questions at the end, I am going to try and save some time at the end for any health, wellness related type questions, mindset questions, resiliency. I love helping people boss up to the next level of success, predominantly in their health, but of course in lots of different areas. So what I'm going to tell you and just talk to you a little bit about tonight is I feel like I want to give you my personal boss up health story so that you get to know a little bit about me. I'm going to talk about how your financial stress impacts your life. And then I'm also going to give you those holistic tips to help you lower your stress levels so that you don't reach that mind and body burnout. So just like many of you, I wear several hats. I am a wife to an active duty military member. He's in the Air Force. I am a mother of 2 awesome humans. My son is 20 this year. It's hard for me to say that, but he is 20 this year and he lives in Nebraska. My daughter is 14. She's pretty much spit an image of me, just a lot smaller, I guess maybe by like a half an inch. But other than that, we are pretty much alike. She is my go-getting girl. Very much grew up with the health and the life and the motivational mama, where my son grew up with the unhealthy, stressed out, burnt out mama. So 2 definitely totally different kids and what they value there. I'm a sister, right? I'm a daughter. I'm a best friend. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an author, I'm a coach, and I'm a speaker. So I wear so many hats. And I have a huge passion for helping women specifically boss up and get healthy. I love helping them become confident and just feel like a freaking queen. So me and my team of health experts, we help women lose weight. We help them double their energy and feel confident and sexy in their bodies without dieting, without excessive workouts, or that guilt motivation, which I know that we can always, we tend to tap into guilt motivation for a lot of things, right? I should be saving money. I should be investing my funds. All of that is just a way for us to try and motivate ourselves, but I'm telling you, it doesn't really work well. So not all women come to me for weight loss issues. A lot of it's confidence. A lot of it's, I just don't know what to do with my life. A lot of it's, just help me become the best version of me. And that's what I get to do every single day, me and my team. I've crafted what I think is the perfect hybrid coaching program that doesn't just give you strategies to lose that weight, but it also helps you unblock some deep unconscious work, right? Getting to the real root of your issues. So we offer that type of support and the healing that is sometimes needed in order to boss up and live a healthier life. Now, you could use subconscious support and coaching even for issues like money and chronic levels of stress, because something is always pulling you back to that spot. So really quickly, just a little bit about why I'm different from other coaches is I walk the walk and I talk the talk. I have been in my clients' shoes. I know how hard it is to literally boss up and create a better, healthier life for yourself. My programs don't just focus in on like the key aspects of health and wellness, such as nutrition and exercise. But my programs focus on total mind body wellness and really teaching women how to create healthy habits that support their life forever. So me and my team we are made up of health coaches, healers, trainers, nutritionists, and I believe that this is really what truly sets my programs apart from a lot of other coaching programs out there. If you've ever worked with a health coach, predominantly they're just, one coach. They just really talk about certain types of things, where we really cover the whole aspect of health and wellness. So how do I know how to do all this? Easy. I used to weigh 213 pounds and I went from feeling blah to badass in less than 5 years. And now I get to help other women do the same thing. So, what I'm about to share with you, not just in my story, but also my tips and strategies for you, is something that I've personally learned, right? It's something I've personally experienced when it comes to having a mental, emotional, and physical transformation. So, if what I say really resonates with you on any level tonight, okay, any level, I would love to have what I call is an epiphany call. It's just a call between you and I offline. We talk about your goals, your health and wellness goals, and we talk about possible solutions for you. Sometimes it's me, sometimes it is not. So just a little bit about me. And Katie, if you see any awesome burning questions come in, definitely kind of let them know, or just kind of keep track of them in case I get carried away. So a little bit about my story is 11 years ago, I struggled with finding true happiness and balance and self-love. And because I struggled with this for so long, my weight got out of control. And as my weight increased, everything else in my life suffered even more. I was depressed. I was ashamed of my body. I had zero self-worth in myself. And my confidence levels, you guys, they were like fading away in the dust, like goodbye, right? And this is how I felt terrible on the inside, but on the outside, people perceived me as something totally different, right? So on the outside, I looked like a fun, loving, successful go-getter who had her shit together. I mean, I was well respected in the community and in my career. I had those two awesome kids that were like so sweet and healthy. I had a husband who loved and supported me. And that's how it looked on the outside. But again, it's not how it felt like on the inside. So in 2010, gosh, it's already 2001. So 11 years ago, but 2010, my health and my self-care took a huge nosedive. I felt like my life was spiraling out of control. I don't know if you've ever felt like that, where you've just lost all control in your life. If you have, like I've been there, right? I know how that feels. And I had two major moments, right? Two ahas, two epiphanies that I had while I was stationed in Germany with my family. So the number one epiphany that I had was I was sitting in a doctor's office and she sat me down and she said, Karissa, you're 5 foot tall, you're 213 pounds. If you don't change your lifestyle habits today, you're probably not going to be around for that little one walking around right now. Because my daughter was with me. And I was like, oh, right? She's like, you're considered obese. And this isn't even like a health wellness visit for me. This was something totally different. I mean, talk about a punch straight to the gut, right? I mean, I was like, I knew I hated my body. I was already embarrassed of it. So I tried to hide, and I hide both with clothes. I hid, I didn't show up in cameras and pictures. So I already hated the way I look. And there she was giving me some real honest to hear, like honest truth that I needed to hear. I'm sure Katie has had many conversations with clients and where they've had that aha realization of, oh, I'm not going to be able to retire when I get to this. Like, what? Right? Like, life-changing moment. So that, I like to say, was the eye opener, right? That moment. And trust me, I was mad as hell. I was embarrassed. I stormed out of there. I probably smoked a pack of cigarettes that day, drank 2 bottles of wine just so that I could go to sleep. And my coping mechanism was, tomorrow's a new day, right? I'll feel better tomorrow after I numbed out the pain today. But lo and behold, the next day, I walk my son to the bus stop. I stop by my good friend Jamie's house, and we smoked. This is like our daily lifestyle, right? We smoked probably 8 to 10 cigarettes. We drank 2, 3 pots of coffee. We literally complained about a lot of stuff in our life, whether it was our body, our relationships, our health, our money. We talked all about the stuff. And then I went home. But it wasn't until I sat on the couch and I looked at a picture of my mom. And y'all, for the first time in my entire life, I saw all 320 pounds of her. I saw her, like her obesity. I saw her level of energy. I saw her constant battle with cancer and diabetes. And in that moment, I saw myself as my mother. Okay. She was like 47 at that time. She died at 54. But I saw myself in her. And that was the moment that I was like, no, Karissa, you have got to change, because you constantly stressing, you constantly overeating, you not moving your body, like all of these things are going to kill you, just like your mother. And I never thought that that would have ever been true for me at like 26 years old, y'all. I never thought that. But in that moment, I needed to hear the doctors of, real truth to open my eyes to what the reality that I was actually living in. So I could get into how I lost it all, but that's not really what I want to talk about today. 5 years later, yes, I'll tell you, I lost it all within 5 years, all 90 pounds, 90 plus pounds. But 5 years later, we moved back from Germany. We were living in the States. I was running my first business. And I was being very successful, but a similar situation happened. But instead of my weight, it was my relationships. So I had become so consumed with hitting career goals, making and spending lots of money, supporting my community, like on boards and just volunteering where I could. I was feeling like a freaking queen in the corporate world, but I lost sight of what was so incredibly important to me. That was my relationships and my health yet again. So just imagine this with me. And I don't know if you struggle with weight or anything, but if you do, just close your eyes here for a minute and imagine this, right? Imagine stepping onto a scale and finally seeing a number that you haven't seen in years. Now imagine slipping on a bikini this summer and going to a pool and noticing people are not looking at you because your fat rolls are hanging over your suit, but because your 6-pack is showing. And now I just want you to imagine walking by a mirror and truly loving what you see. Can you guys imagine any of that? Like imagining the life that like is just rocking? You can go ahead and open your eyes if you played along with me. The reason why I do that is I walk you through it is that is where I once was, right? And even though I was in the best shape physically, I was in the worst shape mentally, emotionally, financially, and spiritually. So I had this rockin' body, this killer body, right? That I'd worked so hard for, but I had nothing now to show forth it. Like I was just mentally drained by all of this constant hustle, this always on mentality. It was killing me instead. I gave every bit of my efforts to my job and my corporate life that I lost track of what was important to me. Now, at this time, I noticed I mentioned I kind of skipped a little detail. So I went from owning my first tuxedo suit and cigar shop to I was sought after for a collision center to be their marketing and HR director. So I left that, sold the business, went to corporate, right? But there was two things that my husband and I always argued about. Number one was my son and how to discipline him, right? I got pregnant at 15, was heading down the wrong path when I was a teenager, had my son, but so we argued about discipline and we argued about money, which is what most people stress out about and argue about. So let me just kind of fast forward a little bit, right? That's not who I am today. In fact, my reality is very much different. I'm a total badass boss babe who is not just like living her best life. She's happy, she's healthy, she's thriving, she's not stressing. Okay. And so that's really what I want to talk to you guys about today. So, stress, right? Ugh. Oh, Katie could have stressed us out, but I really wasn't stressed knowing that my money was in great hands with her. Um, Shameless plug for her, but she is amazing. So stress, right? It's a little 6-letter word that could literally kill you. Scary to think about stress and death, but it is connected. Okay. So financial stress can have a major effect on your health. Stress in general can cause heart attacks, strokes, and many other serious health issues, regardless of what kind of stress it is. And there are lots of different types of stress and levels of stress. I find, though, right, whether it's working with clients or myself, I find that financial stress can affect all the other areas of life, right? I can be stressed out about my body, but nobody knew. Right. I can be stressed out about other things in my life, like discipline, but nobody knew in my circle. But people know when you are financially stressed, right? When the girls ask to go, to on a vacation, you're like, oh no, girl, I'm good, right? They start to eventually pick up on these things. But more importantly, it starts to affect all areas, my relationship, my health, my well-being, my bank account, everything, right? I was stressed to the max. And financial stress, though, specifically, it has some major concerns, financial stress. So it affects your health in many ways. And I'm talking again, physically, mentally, and emotionally. So, two of the most common side effects of financial stress, and if you have them and if you feel open to sharing, know that you're not alone. But if the two major, side effects of financial stress is anxiety and depression. Okay. So, in fact, 70% of adults in the United States say that they feel stress or anxiety daily because of their financial well being, because of where they sit at financially, or where they want to go 20 years from now and they just don't know how to get there, right? Any type of money stress is not good stress. So, other major serious conditions that can be caused or worsened by financial stress is earlier I mentioned heart attack, digestion issues, weight gain, weight loss, eating disorders, insomnia, cancer, high blood pressure, and substance abuse, right? We don't think that our money stress or financial stress could be causing all of those other ripple effects, but it can. So, some other not so crazy, but still like side effects of financial stress. If anyone gets like headaches all the time, if your sex drive is low, if you are having troubles with fertility, right? So many women I used to coach a lot of women who had troubles getting pregnant. And it was because of the high levels of stress that they were experiencing, always focusing on what they didn't have and not focusing on what they do. Tense muscles, poor communication with your relationships, all of these things can be affected and caused because of financial stress and just stress in general. So in our bodies, we have the central nervous system. I'm going to kind of geek out for just a little bit about our bodies. But we have the CNS, the central nervous system. And if you just imagine, right, your body, it's one big central nervous system. Our bodies are machines, by the way. We have the parasympathetic nervous system over here, and we have the sympathetic nervous system. So the parasympathetic, right, this over here, helps us relax. Okay, we need more of this in our life. The sympathetic nervous system, this part of our body, activates the fight or flight. Has anyone ever, I'm sure, I don't even want to ask that question because it's kind of stupid. Has anyone ever experienced like that fight or flight mode? Of course you probably have. You're a human being and we just got through COVID. So I'm assuming you've experienced that kind of stress. So mental stress activates your sympathetic nervous system, okay, signaling your body to go into this flight or fight mode. Now, during this reaction, stress hormones are released and you start to experience physical symptoms such as a faster heart rate, quicker breathing, constricted blood vessels, stuff like that. When I tell and I explain this type of system to my clients, I always use the lion story. So just imagine yourself sitting at work and you're eating, and all of a sudden you look around and you see a lion start chasing you. What would you do? You drop the fork and you get out of town, right? You're all you care about. Yes, Katie says run. You don't think about, oh, I should put my fork down. Maybe I should put the lid on it. Like all these things. Your body is not thinking like that. It's wired to say fight or flight. How about you just get out of town, right? So during this reaction of the fight or flight, during this reaction, the stress hormone is released into your body and you start to experience those symptoms. Okay. So with all of that said, we want to stress less and relax more. Okay. In order for us to do this, we have to learn some holistic strategies. Your options are holistic strategies that are good for us, or medication that may band-aid the problem, but really just could leave us other bigger issues down the road. It's our job to find ways to manage and limit our stress. Okay. Lower our stress. So go ahead, and this is where I'm going to ask you to get chatty in the chat box. So if you've ever experienced any of these situations I'm about to tell you, go ahead and just put a letter K in the box for Katie and Karissa. Super simple. Okay. So have you ever, sorry, I'm not, love it. Emma's like, yep, I'm in, I'll do it. Okay. So when you have 1,000 things listed on your to-do list and everything is happening at once, have you ever caught yourself overstressing when you just feel super overwhelmed with your to-do list? Throw a K in the chat box if you've ever experienced that. Have you ever experienced you're super stressed out because you just filed your taxes and you found yourself stress eating or not eating? Anyone experience stress eating? Anyone a stress eater? I used to be. That was my coping mechanism, right? Food was a way for me to numb out my pain. All right, I hear you, Emma, not you on that one. Okay, so have you ever experienced so much overwhelm and stress when you talk about money that you get literally like a tight throat, or you feel like you just feel differently in your body, right? So if you're stressed out about your money, you either will start to get irritated with the people you love, or you just shut down and not talk to anyone. Has anyone experienced that? Drop some K's in the box. Yeah, because it's easier to just shut anything that makes us feel uncomfortable, right? So for me, this is 100% true. And what do you think I used to do when I would be so overwhelmed? I was killing it at this career, though, by the way, right? I mean, I was making money, I was spending money, I was like this rock star in the community. But what did I do when I got home? As a professional, right? If I'm super stressed, there's no way I'm snapping at my team or my members or my clients, right? Instead, I would go home and take it all out on my partner. And I'm not talking like in a physical way, obviously. If you've probably experienced when you go home and you're all are both so stressed that you're just complaining about everything and there's nothing positive coming out of that conversation. Okay. So that's what I used to do. I would throw up all this negativity, all this stress onto my partner, and he would do the same. And eventually we were so burnt out from hearing each other, I didn't even hear about his problems anymore, right? I was just showing up and is there anything good coming out of this story? So that was me. Okay. The point is that when we are under more stress, our focus becomes a bit more tunnel vision because our bodies are just trying to survive. Okay. They're not thinking about thriving. If the lion's chasing you, your digestion stops, your metabolism slows way down, all sorts of things in your body stops because its job is to run. Remember that. And our bodies don't know the difference between a stressful day at the office, a lion chasing us, a difficult conversation about money. It doesn't know the difference. It doesn't even know your goals. It just knows how to stay alive. Okay. Does that make sense to everyone? So I'm hoping I'm not just like out there talking. I like I said, I geek out about this, but our bodies can't tell a difference. Okay. So all it knows is either stress chronically all the time, because most of the people I know are chronic stressors, and or it knows how to relax. Okay. And sometimes we just forget how to relax. So let's really quickly talk stress in the body. If anyone knows what I'm talking about here or what I'm going to say, I feel free to chime in about what your body does when it's under lots of stress. And I'm going to ask you to get out a piece of paper because I want you to literally figure out how your body, like what happens in it when you're stressed out. And it's really important to understand what happens in our body. And I'm not just talking like, oh, well, I think my organs are starting to, no. Okay. And it'll all make sense here soon. So our body holds so much wisdom and guidance. We just need to slow down and think and ask and listen to what it is telling us. Okay. So when we are experiencing chronic levels of stress, we tend to ignore these signals, right? Like the little bright lights that go off in our head and our body and our gut and our intuition that are like, we ignore them and we go straight into crazy mode. Okay. So we go from 0 to 100 and we don't really know how we got there or what to do about it, right? We just go from like, oh, I'm so calm eating my sandwich to holy crap, the lion is chasing me. I gotta go. We don't sit there and think about what is happening in our bodies. So if you don't mind, I just want you on a piece of paper, I want you to draw a line, just a line going down, okay? And at the top of the line, you're gonna kind of make an I now. So at the top is a level 10. Go ahead and write that down. At the very bottom of your line is a 0, 0 stress. Now, it's rare when I meet someone who doesn't stress out about lots of things. In fact, I'll meet with clients who are like, oh, girl, no, I actually work like better when I'm really stressed out. Have you guys ever told yourself that story? I did, right? I was like, I actually thrive in that zone of like constant. And instead, I was just lying to myself to like justify that I kind of liked this zone. And it's totally okay if that's you. All right, so here we have level 10 and a 0, okay? It's your job to identify what happens in between 0 and 10, okay? So 10 again is crazy. Okay, so crazy level up here. And you don't need something for every notch. And 0 though is I'm just totally relaxed, cool as a cucumber. Like 0 is like imagine yourself at the beach with a cocktail in your hand and you're just super relaxed and your body's warm, right? So that's like 0 level of stress. 10 is high. It is your job to identify what happens to you when you stress out. So if you become irritable, do you eat? Do you start clicking your pen? Like, what are the signs that you do that your body is telling you you do? So in 2019, I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's. And it's a lifelong thyroid disease that I'll never be able to get rid of. However, I can put it into remission, and that's where I'm at with it today because that doctor said, right, it's a holistic functional medicine doctor. He said, Karissa, there's no cure. There's no pills. There's no nothing. But what there is lifestyle habit changes. And he's like, thank goodness you bossed up and lost all that weight and created a lot of habits because a part of your symptoms, part of that, like super terrible symptoms is due to lifestyle like habits, right? Overstressing, not eating properly, not moving your body, etc. So it's your job to identify. When I get super stressed, I will get cold sores. My hair will fall out. I start to sweat. I tend to eat, right? It's your job to figure out where you're at on the stress level. And you want to actually aim for about a 2 or a 3. Okay, 2 or a 3. So when you recognize when you're at a 2 or a 3, it's time to go back down the scale, not go back up. So if you're kind of nervous and you're excited and you're stressed out about something, recognize where you are and then say, okay, I'm going to go down the scale. And what do I need to do to go down? That's where coming up with a list of things that you can do that are going to help you de-stress. So I'm curious if what you do in your life that helps you de-stress. Just go ahead and start throwing them in the chat. Maybe it's working out, maybe it's meditation, maybe it's going for a walk, maybe it's talking to your therapist. I don't care what it is, but go ahead and drop in the chat right now what it is that you do that is going to help you de-stress. So a couple of reasons why we need to do this, y'all, is we have way too many stress hormones going off on a daily basis. So as you guys are doing that, I love that, right? Bubble baths and drink wine. Yes. That's typically what women think about when they think of self-care. And that's what I mean by relaxing, right? It's your job to relax more. So most women will take the bubble bath, they'll grab the wine, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. It's my goal as a coach is to teach people how to relax. Hannah says, read. Very good. Okay. It brings her probably down out of a stressful situation and into a book, something else. Okay. So here's 3 ways that you can start to de-stress your levels, like go down on that scale, that are going to help you not just become like a healthier version of you, but they're going to save your life. Okay. Do you know how many people I get that say, I just had a doctor's appointment. My stress levels are out the roof. I'm on high blood pressure medication. And he says I need to lose 30 pounds in the next year, or I'm going to have to go on this medication. That's scary. That's scary. I'm going to get diabetes. I'm pre-diabetic, all these things because they stress out too much and they don't eat and they don't take care of themselves. All right. So number 1, okay, is to exercise. Y'all had to know this was coming. I mean, I'm a fitness junkie, right? So, but why? Right. Why do we need to exercise daily or at least consistently enough? Okay, so while exercise is one of the most important things you can do that actually fights stress. I know it's really counterintuitive and it seems super odd, but putting your body, like physical stress on your body through exercise can relieve mental stress. Okay. Literally, if I'm having a crazy day, I will go and hit the gym 2 or 3 times if I need it in order to release that energy. And I'm not talking like a crazy, insane workout. You could literally go and walk. Moving your body, just even like this, can help you de-stress. Okay. People who exercise regularly are less likely to experience anxiety than those who don't. It's a proven, okay, proven facts. So number 1 was exercise. Number 2 is this is a good one. So if this is you, make sure you're taking notes, the people pleasers, the yesers in the room. Okay. I want you, tip number 2 is to learn how to say no. Okay. It's a simple 2-letter word that is super powerful. It's a statement. Okay. You don't have to do anything else but say no. All right. So sometimes that's saying no to friends, saying no to food, saying no to your excuses, saying no to a meeting, saying no to spending the money that you don't have. Okay. A little discipline. Remember, Katie said that it's huge with health and well-being too. So not all stressors are within your control. I totally get that, right? If you're at a job that stresses you, the F out, and you can't afford to leave that job, you need to manage it. You have to balance out the stress with more relaxation, okay? But if that's your job to do it, nobody else can do that for you. So you can take control of the parts of your life that you have control over: how you think, how you feel, how you act. Okay. Everything else you can't control. So say no. Say no. Everyone practice saying that right now. No. No. All right. Keep practicing that. That, like saving money, it becomes easier the more you do. All right. Number 3 is one of my favorites. I do it every morning along with exercise, different part of the day, but I do it every day. It's my meditation and my breathing. You would think that breathing would come really intuitive for us, but most people forget how to breathe when they're really stressed out. So deep breathing exercises can help you activate that parasympathetic nervous system, right? The part that just controls the relaxation response. Every single time I start a coaching session, I start off with that. Because half the time in the middle of the day, my women are all over the place, right? They're working, they're busting butt, they're folding laundry, they're taking care of kids, they're driving errands. They haven't even stopped to just relax for the day. Okay. So I always start out with a simple meditation and just simple breathing exercises. Remember, the goal of just deep breathing is to focus your awareness on your breath. So if you're like, Karissa, I can't shut off my brain, I can't meditate, it's too hard, like start really small. It doesn't have to be a long drawn out process, but just breathe, right? Count in your breaths and count out the exhales. Just a couple of times is all you need to trick your brain back from like high stress, fight or flight, back into the relaxation part. Okay. So you guys, bottom line is, although you can't avoid stress completely, there are a lot of things that you can do, like exercise and meditation and saying no. These are just a couple of things. Okay. My husband would say, simplify everything. I don't know. I know there's at least one man in this group, but us women, we love to overcomplicate things. Am I right? So, like, even it doesn't matter what it is, we will complicate it. Okay. We will find a way to make it stressful. I think it's in our nature. We're all over the place. However, we can always keep it simple. Okay. So, if you're really stressed out, if your to do list is crazy, be like, okay, what are the simplest things that I can do? Okay. So it's your job. Number one, it's your job to own that responsibility of lowering your stress levels. No one else is going to do it. Number two is to know your indicator lights. Know the flashing lights that your body is giving you. And I would love some examples if you guys know what you do when you stress out, like what it is that you do. Sometimes we just notice the physical things. Katie said, yeah, don't sleep. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. You lose so much sleep too when you are stressing out financially, really just stressing out about all the things that we could stress out about. So, and then the third thing that I ask you to do tonight is to take action, right? If you don't consistently do one of those three things that I was asking you to do or giving you advice on, just, make a commitment and say, I'm going to start doing X this many times a week. And I'm going to start lowering my stress levels. I'm going to start to become aware of where I'm at with my stress so that it doesn't kill me 5 to 10 to 15, 20 years later. Right? What I love about financial planners is that they help us plan for the future. But what good is your future if you're not in it? Right? Like that's super scary to think about. Like I save a lot of money, and for what? If I can't live out that lifestyle, if I don't have the energy and the body to actually go do the things that I want to do when I retire, what's all that worth then? And I see that so many times. And so you have to, unfortunately, like finances take long term, right? Discipline for long term. Your health is easy. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be stressful. We don't have to overcomplicate it. But we do have to start today, just like financial planning. Like it's not something we'd be like, I'll stop stressing a year from now. God, girl, you could be dead by now, right? Like you could be on so many medications, you could be overweight, 20 pounds heavier, 30 pounds because of all the stress you're carrying. So with that, does anyone have any questions that they want to, you can throw it in the chat. You can just unmute yourself and ask. We do have some gifts for whoever does stay till the end. But if now's the time to pick either my brain or pick Katie's brain. Anything that has to do with finances or health.
Melissa wrote in the chat earlier that she'd love to set up a time.
Nice. Okay.
About anxiety. So
yes. Beautiful. And I noticed, Katie, if there's no questions before we close out, let's see, who Emma had her first, financial goal was to, I was looking for it. Emma, if you want to, if you can.
It's your house, right? I know. Yeah.
Your investment property. Okay. So do you already work with her? Like, are you helping her? Cause I was like, how can you help?
We're meeting next week to talk about her goals. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Cause I am a little late to the game of like hiring. I've been a realtor for almost 4 years, but I'm late to the game of like looking into taxes, and last year was rough. I had like 6 deals fall through in a month. So that was income I was depending on to then go into paying my taxes, because we don't pay taxes at the time we're paid. And then I had to pay in about 10 grand in taxes. And I was just like, I hate my life and my job and I want to quit. I was like, I need to figure out how to get on the right track. And I had money saved up, thankfully, but it was just killer.
Emma, I'm just curious, what makes you feel you're behind on that?
Well, I am guilty of comparing myself to my boyfriend. Like, he has taught me a lot about finances, but he was smart when he was younger. I was more of like the partier and live in the moment, charge up my credit card, travel. And he was very much like work his main job, side hustle, save money, build himself up. And now like he's been self-employed since I think for 10 years now, and he's 34. So, I mean, I admire him and like how he's built up his retirement, his finances. So I compare to that. And like you were talking about when you speak about finances, like I trust him with everything and we talk about it, but I still get that catch in my throat and that shame of like, I'm only at this certain level and I want to have this and accomplish that. I mean, I've always been interested in, before I was even a realtor, just real estate and houses and stuff like that, interior design. And so I want to do my first project, I guess, with my own funds and then, just build it from there.
How will that make you feel when you can literally sign the paperwork for your first investment property?
I'm probably going to cry, and that's okay. Like, it'll be great, exciting.
Oh yeah, it's okay, right? Like, you can even do like a crying and a rock star and sign.
Oh, I will. I'm going to celebrate.
So a couple of things that I heard is that I want you to stop telling yourself that you're behind. You are not behind.
Yes, I just finished reading The Secrets of Six-Figure Women, and it made me realize how much of a lacking mentality I come from, whether it's money, even time, like stressing and being anxious about time. It's so interesting once you get to that point, you have those epiphany moments of like, oh my God, why am I thinking this way? Like, I wouldn't tell my friend this. Like, why would I tell myself that?
I know. Yeah. So be your cheerleader, but when we tell ourselves those stories, we allow it to become true, right? I don't know how you feel about manifesting and all these things.
Don't even get me started on that. Like Dr. Joe Dispenza, manifesting, like all of that stuff. So
you telling yourself that you're living that reality. You're going to make it harder to get to that finish line.
Yeah.
So every time you have some story that spits out, because we say it so often now, we don't even think about it. But when you can start to catch yourself think like that, like shut that thought down, right? Like, no, not today. You actually are in the perfect time, right? Like you're not behind. And think about where you are compared to like so many other people. Like you're 10 times advanced than where they are, right?
Or even where I was just, months ago or years ago.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I would definitely work on that guilt, that shame, and letting go those stories because they don't serve you, girlfriend.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep, that's what I'm working on. Self-sabotaging thoughts.
Yeah.
We tell ourselves.
Any other questions?
Maybe. So one tactic I've used just as dealing with wealth is, and it's just something I learned, but I'm just curious on thoughts of it. Oh, so doing like balance transfers that I never knew it was a thing, and it has helped me, but I feel like I still have like that residual debt, I feel like it's called. Like it was from a Gap card I had in college, and then I just like have slowly kind of carried it. It's, oh my gosh, I think it's been like 7 years now, and I slowly am whittling it away, but it's like I do the zero balance transfer and then I forget about it, and I'm like, oh, I need to start like figuring out my next card to transfer it to. So maybe it'd be better just to pay it down or keep doing the zero balance game, because it has improved my credit, which is weird.
It has or hasn't?
It has.
Okay.
Opening another line of credit and just transferring it, because it shows it pays off the other one. But I'm just like, should I continue down this road? Because I'm just not killing that credit. I want to kill it and make it go away.
Yeah, that's one of the things I caution people about doing that is, are you doing it to avoid paying it? Because people will chase deals, and I'm guilty of doing it too. Oh, I'm going to transfer my balance from this card to this card, 0% interest, but you probably pay a transfer fee.
Yeah, not terribly, but I mean, it's like,
4 or 500. Yeah. And then
it's like out of sight, out of mind of like, oh, it doesn't have any interest, so I'll just get to it eventually. And then
I'm not against doing it. I'm just against it if that's your strategy. If you're not going to make payments.
We'll talk about that on Tuesday.
Otherwise, if you're just going to keep transferring it to avoid paying it, that's not a good strategy. That's just going to that'll eventually keep costing you money.
Yeah, true. And then I did have a question about the health side of things for Karissa. So my goal is to be more consistent with exercise routine. And I mean, I've read, like the one thing by Gary Keller, and he tracks stuff for 66 days or 60 days, whatever it is. But how do you continue on with consistent exercise, even considering our female anatomy, that there are certain times where we just do not have the energy to do anything?
Yeah. Well, I always say honor your body, right? So if you do have those days, recognize like, okay, this is a day that I just need to honor. And instead of maybe like an excessive workout, maybe I'll just stretch. We get so tied up in like this exercise has to be like this hard and this hustle. Yeah. And it doesn't. In fact, my clients, I'm like, you need to like make a movement menu, things that are fun. Let's go dancing, any way to make your body move. But consistency would be my biggest tip would be, is to set at the same time every day. It's a non-negotiable, just like you saving, girlfriend. Like if it's important to you, then it needs to become a non-negotiable at a certain time. So I literally would schedule, like I would encourage you to schedule it into your calendar so that it becomes an appointment for yourself. And then the second thing is I need you to like ask yourself, why do you want to do it? And I feel like that 3-letter, I would never get up at 3:45 in the morning every freaking day, 7 days a week, if I didn't know my why. Because guess what happens at 3:45 in the morning? You're tired. Your body kind of hurts, Karissa. You worked out really hard yesterday. Like all the stories, right? And then one of my favorite books that really left a huge impact. I probably use this tool every stinking, bye, Hannah. I use this tool every single day, but it's a book. Mel Robbins wrote it. It's called The 5-Second Rule.
Yes, I need to read that.
That would be, it's on anything, right? So if you're trying to pay off a credit card, I had a client, she said, I counted down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and paid a $13,000 business debt off. And at first I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. She's like, I know, but it's so scary. Now I don't have this but anyways, I use that tool, right? So every morning I give myself 5 seconds to talk my way out of it. And it doesn't matter. Even though I know when I get to 1, I'm doing it. I'm getting up, right? Because that's when it works for me. So you just kind of need to figure out in my schedule, when would be a good time I can show up consistently.
And I'll just add to this because I've had these conversations with Karissa. It's so easy as a self-employed person who gets to set their own schedule to just say like, I don't feel like doing it right now. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. I'll do it in the afternoon. And it's just like the worst thing we could do to ourselves, because you bet your ass when I leave here, I'm not going home and working out.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And
so you got to look at your day.
Yeah.
And when you've done and shown 5 houses, 6 houses, 7 houses, it's like, you don't want to go home and work out.
No way. Yeah.
So and that's why personally I do mine and I know you don't have to go extreme, right? That seems extreme for people, but I'm in bed by 8. So I get plenty of my sleep. Like it doesn't, like it works for my lifestyle. Yeah. But yeah, at the time when my kids were 2, like I still worked out in the morning. It was just like a 9 a.m. It was an 8 a.m. because I realized after 11, I'm like worthless. Like I don't want to get out of, like, I don't want to leave the house if I didn't at the time, and I'm just tired. Now a different story, because it's a way that I de-stress. So some days it's like 2 days a week, but I'm doing totally different things. But yeah, it's consistency. So find the time in your schedule. And sometimes it needs to be before anybody else's time, because if that's important to you.
No, I was doing really well for like 3 to 4 weeks of getting up at 5:30, getting to exercise at 6:30, and then it's just like my lady time hits and I just lose it. I'm like, I'm just gonna sleep in this one day, and then it's the next day. I'm like, it's okay. I'm my body. I just, I need, like you said, honor your body, but then it's just like it totally slips away from me.
And maybe my recommendation is like, I still get up and do something. And then it's just not, like literally it's stretching or meditation, or I'll put like yoga. Yeah. Something that gets it keeps the habit still, especially since it's not installed yet. But holidays, everything, I'm like, okay, cool. Like my workout in. I know it sounds crazy, but I had to be consistent. Like when you're trying to quit smoking, you have to like stay away from all the people that are smoking for like at least a while, right? Until you create the habit. So I would love to just even follow up if you're on Instagram, if you want to find me or whatnot.
I'm gonna share this because I know Kayla Sequanidia, you guys go follow Karissa on social media.
Like literally, Emma, you could be like, I got up today, and I would message you back, says, yes, girl, right? Like there's
yes, because like I'll try to do like accountability with my friends, but they slip off of it too. And just like I need someone who is solid and already has the habit to like hold me accountable. I don't know.
Yeah. Find a 10 times ahead friend. And if you don't have one, find one. Like look for one. Like put an ad out on Facebook. Like I'm looking for someone to hold me accountable. Right. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you
all right.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you to all of you for joining, and we are so glad that you were all here. And I really encourage you all to take something you wrote down, some financial goal, some health goal, and circle it, write it down, make it your goal to really, really work. We're gonna send you some details in a follow-up email. And Karissa has generously offered a copy of her book, Women Who Boss Up, to everyone that stayed till the end. So,
and I'll count the few ladies.
The details on that.
Yeah. You'll get the email after this with that, but then I do need an email back with your mailing address because it's not an ebook, it's the actual. I'll autograph it for you, and then mail it off. So there'll be a second email after your first one.
Yeah,
but yeah,
you can send your email, put like your handles for social media because I love Instagram. But
perfect. All right.
Perfect. All right, ladies, have a great night.
Thank you. You too.
Yay. Okay. Did you
that didn't go too bad.
stop the recording?